For those who want to join this group, can you do that now, please? For those who want to join, and try and come a little bit closer if you want.
Hi, I'm Susan Young. I came on Saturday night, got to know some of you. I haven't been able to come back because I live in the corporate world and I'm coming out of it for this afternoon. I got the privilege of introducing Tracy and the WDA organization. What I thought I'd do is sort of position who I am to you. I work for Imperial Oil. I'm the manager of their foundation. And through the help of the foundation, we underwrote the costs of the conference for you. We've been affiliated with the center for far too many years. We know Jack and Marcia very well and have had a lot of fun over the last couple of years as they've gotten the summer institutes together. I manage, as I said, the foundation, and over the last 8 years, I've given away $68 million on behalf of my company. So I kind of understand what's going on and where you're coming from and some of the issues that you face in the whole area of funding for programs that you believe in very dearly. This program that Tracy's bringing to you today, I guess it started about 4 or 5 years ago as an idea that he began bouncing off of people. And you know a bit about Tracy and his background. Am I doing something wrong? About his background with the Beat the Street organization. But what you may not know is some of the background with Tracy that he doesn't talk about very often. And I'm going to read this so I don't forget it. He's been charged 53 times, and of those 61 times, and of those 53 charges were either withdrawn or dismissed. He's been found guilty of some of those charges 7 times. He's received probation twice. He's had to pay fines of $100 twice. He once spent time in jail for 10 days, and I can't remember what that was, but you will
He
not.
did a police officer.
Okay. What isn't reported in this when you take a look at someone's record is the emotional toll that it takes on the individual and his family and his friends. There are obvious financial costs and losses over that charged period. And around all of this, and while some of this was happening, he received the Order of Canada for the work that he did in the area of literacy. For the Americans in the group, I believe my research, if it's correct, tells me that's like the Congressional Medal of Honor. So it's our country's highest award that you can receive. The work that he's done, for the work that he's done in the community and for his country. These are also a listing of the programs that Tracy's been involved with, either having started them or having been a major player in them. I've mentioned that he was a member of the Order of Canada. He was a co-founder of the Beat the Street program, which is an international literacy movement. He helped start a Canadian project designed to encourage reading to others, which was called Read Canada. He received the J. Roby Kidd Award for his educational excellence, the Paul Harris Award. He helped become a very strong member of a program called the HELP program, which was a program for ex-cons. And I haven't gone through this, but he created a program called Speaking with Confidence. I will be his next player in that one. He started a program called Rap on Drugs, which grew into a program called Who Cares, which was a community program that was actually sponsored by my company, which is Imperial Oil. He was involved with the ConCare program, which was designed to help written communication support to those in the prison system. He's got a child community protection identification program called For Your Children. He started a program called TLL Fundraising Consultants, and for those of you in the audience who are looking for prime fundraising consultants, he is one of the best in the country. He has moved that into an organization called the Shallow Lake Group. And the Shallow Lake Group provides fundraising consulting as well as other consulting in the area of nonprofit and charitable management, and he has clients in both the United States and in Canada. I couldn't keep that all in my head, so I apologize for reading it because it's quite an extensive background. There's a story that he believes is one that has gone on too long and hasn't been talked about or hasn't been told in any way, and that's the WDA organization, which stands for Withdrawn, Dismissed, or Acquitted. And quite simply, there are a group of Canadians, and he'll talk specifically about Canada, but the program and the ramifications of it have applications to the American justice system as well. So on behalf of whomever, I'll turn this over to you.
Wow.
And
Thank you. Do you want to put up one?
Sure.
Well, I actually forgot about all I did. It was kind of nice
That's
that
why
you...
I had to write it down.
That was kind of nice. And when I say I, and we hate that word I, it was we, you know that. And you heard us a couple of days ago talk about Marcia Forrest, and she taught me how to read, and she taught me how to write. Well, the other person is Jack Pierpoint. Jack Pierpoint, now listen to me carefully, because someone said to me earlier about, and then I'll get into the talk, but someone said to me earlier, so what turned you around? What made you go straight? I mean, I get this all the time. So listen carefully to how I'm going to, tell you how that was. Marcia Forrest taught me the basics to read. In other words, I know what street I'm on. I can do a menu. I can do the basics that you people can do, right? That's Marcia. Along with Marcia was Jack first. Jack gave me a job. So I was employed. To keep the employment, I had to be employable. So that's what Marcia was doing. So between those two people, where I leaned my ladder, was on those two folks. That's what turned me around, with a little bit of education and a job. And I can relate that to any of these right now. When you are not working, what happens? Do you know what I mean? Life just, it does get really uncolorful. Now this organization, WDA, is me. See, literacy was me. I was a kid who couldn't read, couldn't write, and I was a kid who was passed by, right? I was still a kid who, and by the way, I did live that lie that I couldn't read and I couldn't write. I lived a lie for 33 years that I couldn't read and I couldn't write and I'll be stupid forever. I lived that. But you know what the lie is I lived with, and I woke up 4 years ago, which made me 41, is I live another lie. God, I hate this. The lie is that I'm not a criminal. No, I'm not a street kid. Believe me, I used to be. But I'm not. And even when I was the baddest I was bad, I wasn't that bad. Because here's what's happening to you folks today and forever. Do you know you watch TV? You watch the whole J thing, you watch everything, and you know what you guys are bombarded with? That's why I'm popping up with this organization. You guys are bombarded with that anybody that gets charged is guilty. Anyone that is hanged. The sad part of that charge in this was, 61, I wasn't guilty. Do you know how I can prove that to you? If you believe in the law, if you believe in the justice this much, you know what the law says? Withdrawn, dismissed, and acquitted is no disposition. You know what no disposition means? He's innocent. Or she's innocent. So when I seen Rose Laglotti, I can't never say it, seen her this morning, and she pulled out these rubber gloves. And she said, wait a second, is my kid contagious? And whatever that was. Wasn't that beautiful? Well, here's my gloves. They're handcuffs. This sound bothers me. These sounds, listen, they bothered me. These are the things that they put on me 67 times. Can you imagine? They took me out of my place of employment. They took me out of restaurants. They took me out of bar, having a haircut, dragged me, handcuffed me, fingerprinted me, and treated me like Charles Manson. Anyone who is charged, that's what they do. They handcuff you, they fingerprint you. Now, all this may be fine and dandy if you're guilty. Now, let me try this on you. Most Canadians and most Americans walk out of the court system after they're charged and say this. I can't believe it, but they say it. They go, well, I beat that beef. You beat nothing. They took you, put you in a windowless room, they handcuffed you, they humiliated you, the media bombarded you, and called you all kinds of things. They destroyed you. When I heard this lady talk one time about sexual harassment, she said someone grabbed her on the shoulder. And she said, that's sexual harassment. He had no right to do that. What do you think this is? What do you think of handcuffing someone that is charged with something that isn't violent? I wasn't violent. I wasn't assault-causing stuff. I wasn't, but that's how they label you. Now, here's why WDA started. And I'm glad Jack's here today. 4 or 5 years ago, Jack, I can't remember the exact time, I went to go to a conference in the United States, TASH. And can you imagine? I turned straight now. I've got a job now. I've done all those successful things that she said I did. This is great. I'm even going to get the Order of Canada. Jack, the night before I got on this plane, sat down. He said, Tracy, let's write a letter and tell them that you are going to accept the Order of Canada. I said, isn't this great? So like a kid, I put that letter in my suitcase. 6 o'clock the next morning, you know what it's like to travel. We all go down to the airport, and all you guys are with me, and I'm straight. We're going to go through the thing, show your passport, show your stuff. Girl looks at it, looks at me and says, would you stand over here? And I said, well, why is that? I'm going down to this conference. Stand over here. When I went to stand over here, four custom people, those guys in white shirts, came with me. Because you know why? And I don't take anything out on her. She did this. And my record came up. They took me out of the airport like this. And then I swore by every fiber that was in me that something's going to happen. Here's what happened. Handcuffs, I can handle that. It's happened to me before. The shackles, I couldn't handle. You know what shackles are? Shackles? I didn't do anything, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, they said it was for assault. That was all fabricated. It was all blown up. It cost me $5,000. And it wasn't true. And the person who I was supposed to assault didn't even come to court. They had to go through with a trial, because legally, if they don't go through with a trial, they can have recall on me later. So we went through a trial, and she wasn't there. Junkie. Okay? Now here's what happened. Listen carefully, because I swore this would never happen, and I hope today that you can take this message with you. I walked through the airport like a goof, in shackles and handcuffs. I actually felt like, who knows? Do you know what bothered me? And still, well, I'm almost in tears just thinking about it. A black little girl this high with her mama was walking by. And the little girl hung onto her mother like this, and she went like 50 feet away, as if I was the lowest of scumbags. And I felt like stopping. I really didn't go, excuse me. Hey, it's not true. It's not true. This is not true. I'm not guilty. I mean, every prison in this country, in your country, say the same thing, but it's true. So take a good look at this. What does it say? Somebody read that. Who wants to read it out loud?
Well, I'll excite you. Go ahead.
The WDA organization is committed to providing support to those Canadians who have unfairly become victims of the Canadian criminal justice system.
Support. Okay.
People who have had their criminal charges withdrawn, dismissed, or acquitted are innocent and should be afforded all of their civil rights.
How many agree? Isn't that funny? But let me tell you some more. I went to the library because I can read and write. Marcia did do a good job teaching me how to read and write. So now that I'm educated, I went to the library at Young and Bloor here. It's called the Research Library. It's bigger than this building. This was like great. I went in and tried to find stats on what it is that I'm speaking about. And they kept coming up with this word, no disposition, no disposition, no dis... What does that mean? That means we're not counted for anything. And then I found one, which is this one. And by the way, I forgot the one in 1994. I have that one. But I'm checking that out because it doesn't add up. But let's just start with 1991. 1991, right? 3,500,000 charges were laid in Canada. So what do you say to that? Isn't that great? cops are doing a good job. And by the way, this doesn't have anything to do with young offenders. Let's get that one straight. No young offenders, all adults. Then if you look down, 2 million out of these charges were withdrawn, dismissed, and acquitted. Oh, are you all following me now? So next time you watch a cop show, next time you watch a bad guy, next time you see someone handcuffed on the side of the road or handcuffed this way, whatever you want, remember this. He or she probably ain't guilty because 2 out of 3 are innocent. Now, let's play it the other way. If a police officer was standing here talking, he would say to you these words, because I've heard them. Well, Tracy, those stats aren't necessarily accurate. Because, see, some people get charged 10 times, some people get three times, some people get charged 4 times, and maybe that isn't one time at, Okay? And we're just doing our job. Okay? You doing your job? 2 million are still charged wrong. So they'll say to you, yeah, but you know what? And by the way, a staff sergeant told me this. Well, Tracy, you know it yourself. The reason why they're withdrawn is because the complainant doesn't show up. Yeah. So to further that, just hang on to those thoughts for a second. Let me tell you another one. Along with this information I found, which happens to be true of my interpretation of it, I found something else. I found my own criminal record. In Canada, before the police, I found my own criminal record. I wrote away, I sent it away, and I said the wrong thing. I said I was an officer, relating the officer as an officer of a Mason. Because we have Mason symbols, and I put the word officer. Whoever read it at the other end must have thought I was an other type of officer. Do you know what he sent me? My record. My criminal record. But all of it. Did you know when they accumulate your criminal record of all the charges that were withdrawn, they still hold it against you? I didn't know that. Because see, when you ask for that information, they only give you the information of what you were charged with and you're found guilty. And on the bottom of these pieces of paper, it said, for police eyes only. Guess what happened to me? Someone take a guess. I had this information. What do you think happened to me? The Internal Affairs phoned me up. So this is Tracy Luck we are? I said, yeah. This is Internal Affairs. I laughed. I thought it was a joke. He says, there's no joke, young man. We'd like to see you and blah, 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 blah. I said, you gotta be kidding. Well, we'd like to know how you broke the code to the computer thing of the police, whatever, and we want you now. So I met him in an office. We put down a tape recorder. Real good gentleman. And they wanted me to put the finger on the police officer who gave it to me. You know the guy I wrote it to? Wouldn't do that. I said, I just sent it to the police station and it arrived. Did you know if I wouldn't have given him that information, I would have been locked up? See, they didn't go after the guy that gave me the information, they went after me. So what I did with it, ladies and gentlemen, is I went to the Beacon Times, which is a newspaper. And can you show my record for a second, Susan? I went there, and I wanted to know this. And by the way, newspaper articles have this. I didn't bring them today. I said, I want to know why I was charged so many times, only to find these charges withdrawn, dismissed, and acquitted. And no one in the last 4 years have ever answered that. Okay? I'm going to have fun with this one. Can I have fun with this one? This is my criminal record. How many here have seen a criminal record? Okay. Well, you know those figure of speeches as long as your arm and all that? Well, it's happened. See when it started? I got to go up here for a second. See when it started? 1967. Okay, I don't have to read it. You can do that yourself. 1967 it was twice. 1968 it was twice. 1969 was 3 times. 70. Look at my life. For 29 years, I went through this. Now let's look over here. Let's just take one. Auto theft, withdrawn. Think for a second. Did I hide that card? Did I fold it up and do something with it? Did it dissolve? Why would you charge me with auto theft, only to have it withdrawn or dismissed? Let's try assault causing bodily harm. And this one here is kind of interesting because they're talking about gangs now. In 1969, I was in this, what was it called? The Globe, no, the Telegram. It was a newspaper that used to be out, right? It was like the Toronto Star. They wrote up, gang youth member. Can you imagine? Beats up a bus driver with a ball-peen hammer. Puts him in a coma. Gang fight. You know what the guy said who got hit 6 months later? No, he wasn't the guy that hit me. He's the guy who saved me. Do you know when I went down to the Don jail over here, which they incarcerate you in, the county bucket, I got beat up by 4 guards because I beat up an innocent bus driver? Okay? So just take a quick look at all this. How do you come up with that? How do you come up with possession of drugs? Not guilty. Withdrawn. And by the way, I'm very proud to say this, and I'll talk on my street walk with you later. All these are by myself. Can we show that one? All these are by myself. Nobody came with me. So it wasn't, you know. Now the reason why I want to show you this one, because we're still going. Look at this. Can you imagine when they got mad at me? Okay, in 1976, 76, 76, 76, 76, 76, 76, 76. And then, by the way, look at the dates on that 76 stuff. Okay? You know, some of the dates are really interesting because it's 4 days later, 3 days later, etc. How many know the word harassment? How many here, and I'm not trying to be cute by this, know what harassment means? But better yet, do you know the legal jargon of what harassment means? No. Let me give you the legal one. Got it? You know it? Harassment?
Yeah, harassment is any unwelcome and unwanted
Good.
behavior.
Good. Harassment in the criminal code book, which I can read today, says harassment means by worry, by constant attacks. Woo! See, you Americans are so beautiful because you can sue those suckers. You can. You can sue a police officer, isn't that right? Try it in Canada. So then it goes down to here. Here's the one that really bothered me that just broke this wide open. Check this out. Assault causing bodily harm, assault. Oh, by the way, this is all true. This is the paper I found with the police only on it. It's got all this assault, and then it's got possession of narcotics, blah, 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 right? Here's how much it cost me, ladies and gentlemen. Do you know when they hung the Order of Canada on me in Regal Hall in Ottawa, I was charged? And do you know what my conspiracy mind says to me looking back at it, why I was charged? I don't think they liked me. So when we were talking about fear today, you folks all are happy when you see a police officer pull up. Aren't you?
No, not necessarily.
Well, some of us. But you know what I'm saying? No, but here's my interpretation, and it happened today. Thank God it happened today because it's a good story. I have a trailer. It's called a Hallmark trailer, and on the weekends I do war games with paintballs. True story. Now, if you open the back door of the Hallmark trailer, you'll see 12 plastic guns for paintballs. Well, I pulled this lid down, right? Took my bike down, and I started looking for stuff for you today. And as I was looking, I heard a car pull up, and it's a police car. Candid camera would have made a fortune on this guy's facial expression. First of all, look at the look, and then look at all the guns on the wall. Could you imagine what he was thinking? You know what I did stupidly? Stupidly. Like, you know, don't shoot, here I am. And he read really quickly on the side of the thing, paintball, Tracy, you know, like, and I said my and I'm standing like this. Don't ask me why. I'm just doing it, just in case I should, you know. And he said, well, Jesus, just put your hands down. It's only paintballs. Yeah, you know, I'm just checking, you know, and yeah, and he just drove away. Before I came here, the day before I came here, I think, this all began on a Sunday or something? Saturday. Anyways, I seen my brother Rick. And I'm going to lead the families because I'm going to tell you a little bit of pain first. My brother Rick, okay, I love the guy. He's straighter than straight. In fact, the most honest, straight person I know. Well, we're doing this project with water, spring water, going to get in the spring water business. I pulled up my motorcycle. He drove by. We stopped. You know how you do that. You know, you see him in front. He stops. I jumped out because I just came from the bank. Hey, Rick, I got your money. No, he says. Don't put that out here. said, what are you talking about, man? It's, you know. But you see how it even affected him? It's straighter than straight. I wasn't a drug deal. It was just legal as legal can get. Did you see how it affected him? Because here's what happened. Can you imagine, some of your moms, can you imagine your boy or dads going through all this? So every time you see your kid's face, he's in trouble. 3 to 4 times a year for 29 years. Says something. Do you know how many times I wanted to tell my mom and my papa? And it wasn't until the last one, 91, I really did that. I said, you know, I'm not guilty. Now ask me the other question. How many am I guilty of? You seen them? Can we get another one up? But that's the end of it.
Those are the only two.
Okay, you don't have the Americans one here? That's okay. The salt in that, I went in and said to my mom, it's a joke. I had to, just want to, you know. Anyways, I walked up to my mom in 1991. Can you imagine? The proudest lady on this universe was really proud that her boy was getting the Order of Canada. In fact, the federal government is kind of weird because you can only bring one person with you. So that excluded my dad and included my mom, which is okay because my mom was always there. My mom was the person who always walked in the courtroom, sat behind the prisoner's box, where I sat probably, I tried to figure it out, I probably was in court probably 1,400 times. Is what I could figure out. It probably cost you, the taxpayer, probably about $1.2 million. Yay. Because you got to stop this. You want to get crime down? Stop doing this unnecessary stuff. So my mom sat there in Regal Hall, excited and messed up. We couldn't even have a good day with that Order of Canada because I was charged. So she's looking at her boy going, oh, this is so good, my boy's getting an award, and thinking, and he's charged. Do you know what, by the way, the police did? They charged me also with threatening. And they found this little poem, because I write poems. You heard Marcia, this has been going on for years. I even write songs. I really do. I can't play Worth a Wet, but I can, you know. Do you know what the poem said? Because I was sort of venting, letting out. But by the way, it was in my mama's handwriting. When the Don Gateman, a police officer, which is OPP, knocked on my mama's door and said, we just arrested your son, and we have this death-threatening note. My mama looked and laughed and said, excuse me, I wrote it. And here's what it said. Every dog has his day, so you better start to pray. 'Cause if you laugh at me too loud, you won't hear me coming. But if you all should die, you won't see me cry. 'Cause God only knows you had it coming. That was the death-threatening thing that they had to charge with. It was a song. We had boxes on top of the writing where you put your fingers, you know, like for guitars, for those who play it. So that's the kind of stuff I went through. But here's what else I went through, and this is a lie. I used to sit in jail feeling like I was the bad guy. Not 1991. You know what I said in 1991 when they put me in custody? First of all, I couldn't get my Order of Canada piece of paper out quick enough. But you know what I said this time sitting in jail? A black guard was over there, and there's 40 of us in here, in this cells. And I thought, first of all, my whole career, I've never, ever, 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 ever talked to a police officer or a guard. Let's get that one straight. But I got stinking thinking in there, wait a second, I'm not a criminal. I got the Order of Canada. I've done, you know, untold numbers of help. So anyways, I said to this black guard, I said, excuse me, sir, come here for a sec. You don't do that in Joy. I said, listen, I don't want to be sarcastic or anything, or I don't know where you're going to come from, but listen, did you know that you're locking up innocent people? We're all innocent here? He goes, yeah, right. I said, no, think about it. I said, you're locking us up because nobody knows if we're guilty. I'm standing here in the concrete world, in bars, in handcuffs, and chocolate, and I said, how does your wife feel about this? I don't talk about my job. I said, I don't blame you. Really. It's been going on for a long time. Do you know when Marcia, when I learned how to read and write, you know that Bible? You know that Jesus guy? He even goes that far. He got charged. So now's the time to stop. So what I want to do with this organization is this. I was very fortunate, and I put in the newspaper when I got so excited, because you always want to run ahead before you get the organization going. So I did. I put an article in the Globe and Mail. and I went across this country, which is one of our biggest newspapers, and I said, WDA, if you've ever been charged falsely, da-da-da-da-da-da-da, please write me confidentiality. I can't tell you about the letters, obviously. The only thing I can tell you is I got 5,000 of them. There's such a cry of people that are out there that are going through this, that no one's ever stood up like I just did to you and said, you know what? When your kids come home, when your mama, your dad, your brother, your sister, and someone really looks at you and says, you know what? I'm not guilty. Maybe we can change our attitudes to that. Because in the United States of America, they're building more jails than schools. So, you know, we're on this lock-up system. And one of the problems of the lock-up thing, why the police are so messed up this way, is because we have Stool Pigeon Park out here. We have the TIPS hotline, we have police crime stoppers, we have them all calling, cashing people in for money. CBC just did a thing on Crime Stoppers thing, and that guy was making $800 a week. Walks into a bar, hears someone's conversation, takes his license number, writes it down, and tells on him. Do you know another one that you didn't know was, well, I really hate these programs, and that's the talk shows. People have been killed, I heard today, in the United States for doing that. You know, they sit in the show and go, well, honey, I'm gay. I don't love you anymore. And they do all this sort of stuff. Well, that's part of it. You know, telling on people, or sensationalize it. But you know the problem is with the media and things in print and stuff? I've never had an apology. All those charges in this country, by the way, I've been in every courtroom in this country. Now, some buildings might not be there and some buildings might be bigger, but basically. Do you know, they charged me saying, Tracy Lacuillar was charged today, assault causing bodily. Now, all this print. And you know what they never said? Anytime. Mr. Tracy Lacuillar today on February the 4th, right, was found innocent. Because let me just play it back to you so I can talk to you. How many here knew the stats before I said them today? That it was that high. What's your feelings about what it is when I say there's that many people? Think about it for a second, then jump in any time. What do you think about those stats? Let's do another one. Don't you think that's pretty high? Don't you think that's pretty sick? Because the other things police officers say is, well, Tracy, we charged a guy 3 times. We only found him guilty of 1. We make that deal. Let me tell you something right now. I've never made a deal in my life. I've never said I was guilty in my life. But unfortunately, 60 to 70 to 80% of guys, girls, men, women go in these places and they get a statement. And then when they get a statement, they go into the jail cells, and you know what they say? This is blackmail, by the way. I don't know how you want to cut this conversation. Do you know what a police officer says, and they say it all the time? Well, Dave, we got you on 36 car thefts. We're going to reduce it to 3. How do you plead? Are you guys all right? What would you say? I got you on 60 car thefts. What do you plead? What would you say? Not guilty? I like that one. But most of these, what would you say? Isn't that like blackmail when these deals go on like that? Isn't it blackmail? Don't you think that people have said they're guilty when they weren't guilty because they didn't want to go through all that? Did you know one trial can take 1 year to 2 years to go through? And here's the last one when it comes to charging. You all don't know where you go when you get charged. See, I think the police are doing a great job. They arrest criminals, they chase criminals, and I think they're doing just an outstanding job sometimes. But when you put me in a jail cell with other people, here's who my friends have been for 29 years. I was in the Don jail and I lived with 19 murders in one corridor. Don't ask me why they put me in that corridor. They were all murders. All murders. But when I was there in 1991 in Walkerton, I shared a cell with a guy who cut somebody's throat, his wife. Why? You talk about abuse? You talk about mean things that have happened to you? I didn't even want to listen to that sucker. And he was unfolding all these stories. So I'm in there with rape hounds, I'm in there with diddlers, I'm in there with murderers, and that's abuse. And there's another type of abuse, in case you ever think about prison or jail. Stop right now if you think it's like someone said, for the Canadians, they said Paul Bernardo. You know, he's got a jail cell, he's got a TV, he's got this, he's got that, right? Let me stop you right there. Go home, live in your closet for a day, just a day, and then tell me how exciting it is. And by the way, take your TV with you. No, seriously, plug it in, sit in the closet, and stay there. Oh, and if you get mail, shove it on the door. Tell someone if they want to talk to you, just shove it on the door. And I think some jails have phones, so phone them. They put it all there in your closet. That's it. You're dead. Okay? The other one I want to talk about, just for 1 second. I didn't know if I was going to do this, but I'm going to do this. How many here think about that OJ guy? Is he guilty? Raise your hands if you think he's guilty. One. How come you guys aren't raising your hands? Y'all don't think he's guilty? No? How many here believe Foreman, the police officer, is guilty? Must be guilty of something. I don't know what that is. But I know if he just went around calling people names, you can't, you know, you just say, yeah, I said a bad name about a person, but you don't have to, you know. I mean, he started the fire, didn't he? He also put the fire out.
Inclusion, sometimes it's very subtle things.
Okay, so you just start again on the issue of inclusion.
I'm sorry?
Okay, we'll start now. He's rolling now, so okay.
The issue of inclusion, I think inclusion can be many subtle things, many subtle experiences we can have. For example, I'm French, and here it's all in English.